This is wild. This is from the New York Times yesterday. Remember the story? Sam Alito said that the reason that his wife flew that flag upside down was because she got into a squabble with the neighbor and she was pissed off at her neighbor. Well, it turns out that that was just a blatant lie. In fact, the squabble with the neighbor happened weeks after the flag was taken down. The flag followed the January 6th insurrection. This was a flag in support of overthrowing our government. I mean, let's just tell the truth. This is, obviously Alito's wife is lying here, or Alito's lying here. But it gets even weirder than that. Martha Ann Alito, apparently, well, I'll just read from the New York Times. The family down the street with whom the Alitos got into this dispute is the Baden family, okay? The Baden family's version, the Times reports, the justice's wife initiated the conflict. Baden recounts seeing Mrs. Alito lingering outside their home and glaring at the couple after the January 6th riot, according to the report. Baden also remembers driving by the Alito's home with her then-boyfriend the day of President Joe Biden's inauguration. Quote, Mrs. Alito ran toward their car and yelled something they did not understand, the Times reports. The couple continued driving, they said, and as they passed the Alito home again to exit the cul-de-sac, Mrs. Alito appeared to spit on toward their vehicle. Wow. And then, a month later, there was another encounter. Sam and Mrs. Alito were on a stroll down the street, and the Badens were taking out their trash, and, quote, Mrs. Alito addressed the pair by name, used an expletive, and called them fascists. And that's when Mrs. Baden says that she used that C-word expletive to describe Mrs. Alito. She said, how dare you behave this way? You've been harassing us over signs. You represent the highest court in the land. Shame on you. Amazing. Sam Alito lies as easily as Clarence Thomas lies. These guys are so corrupt. They have no business being on the highest court in our land, and certainly no business deciding cases that have to do with the future of our democracy and whether, Donald Trump, who tried to overthrow our government on January 6th, whether Donald Trump should have presidential immunity or anything else like that. I got to tell you what's up with Bob Kennedy, and then I'll pick up your calls on the other side of the break. What do you think is going to happen in this election interference, this stealing the 2016 election trial? Let's start calling it that, the stealing the 2016 election trial. I'll be back with your calls and the story about Bob Kennedy right after this. Stay tuned.